Just imagine if one day you found yourself deserted in the middle of the ocean in a boat with no motor or sail. Sounds crazy, right? Well, there is a case that was heavily reported worldwide despite initial criticism from skeptics. Welcome to Animated Infographics, where we will be discussing Jose Salvador Alvarenga, the first person in recorded history to have survived in a small boat and lost at sea for roughly 14 months, to be more specific, exactly 438 days. On November 17, 2012, Alvarenga set out from the coast of Chiapas, Mexico. An experienced sailor and fisherman, he was intent on a 30-hour shift of deep-sea fishing, during which he hoped to catch sharks, marlins, and sailfish. His usual fishing buddy was unable to join him, so he arranged instead to bring along an inexperienced 23-year-old Ezequiel Cordoba, with whom he didn't really know. 2 days later, a storm hit out the blue that lasted 5 days, during which the motor and most of the portable electronics were damaged. Though they had caught nearly 1,000 pounds of fresh fish, the pair were forced to dump it overboard to make the boat maneuverable in the bad weather. Alvarenga managed to call for help on a two-way radio and request help before the radio's battery died. Darkness shrank their world as a gale-force wind ripped offshore and drove the men farther out to sea. With only the stars as guides, they had lost their usual means of calculating distance. The search party organized by Alvarenga's employer failed to find any trace of the missing men and gave up after 2 days because visibility was poor. As days turned to weeks, they learned to scavenge their food from whatever sources presented themselves. Alvarenga managed to catch fish, turtles, jellyfish, and seabirds with his bare hands, and the pair occasionally salvaged bits of food and plastic garbage floating in the water. They collected drinking water from rainfall when possible, but more frequently were forced to drink turtle blood or their own urine. Cordoba lost all hope around 4 months into the voyage after becoming sick from the raw food, and eventually died from starvation by refusing to eat. During a later interview, Alvarenga said that he contemplated suicide for 4 days after Cordoba died, but his Christian faith prevented him from doing so. He noted that Cordoba made him promise not to eat his corpse after he died, so he kept it on the boat. He sometimes spoke to the corpse, and after 6 days, feared he was becoming insane, so he threw it overboard. Alvarenga reported that he saw numerous transoceanic container ships, but was unable to get their attention to get help. On January 20th, 2014, out of the blue, he spotted a tiny desolate islet, which turned out to be a remote corner of the Marshall Islands. He abandoned his boat and swam to shore, where he stumbled upon a beach house owned by a local couple. After 11 days in the hospital and countless questions from local and foreign officials, Alvarenga was deemed healthy enough to return to El Salvador. However, he was diagnosed with anemia, had trouble sleeping, and developed a fear of water. Alvarenga's story was heavily reported worldwide despite initial criticism from skeptics, but later proven plausible. It wasn't until a year later, when the fog of confusion subsided and he scanned the maps of his drift across the Pacific Ocean, that Alvarenga began to fathom his extraordinary journey. For 438 days, he lived on the edge of sanity. I suffered hunger, thirst, and an extreme loneliness, and didn't take my life, Alvarenga says. You only get one chance to live, so appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to watch more great content like this.